So, you've got that craving for a new game. You're burned out on all those other games you've been playing, and you just want something you can get lost in. You want a character you can jump on from time to time and then slowly but surely grow from a common peasant into a god among men. You want to wander around unexplored landscapes, fighting new and interesting beasts, and loot everything you see along the way. You want an MMO, which led you here. I've played ESO for years now, and as a result, I'm very aware of all of its strengths and its weaknesses in both the short and the long term. I will do my best to lay out these strengths and weaknesses so that you can decide if Elder Scrolls Online is the right MMO for you in 2021. I will be sure to touch on all the topics that are most important to all types of players, such as solo content, group content, PvP, combat, cosmetic customization, and population health. First, solo content. How important is it in ESO? And is it fun? How much time do you spend soloing in ESO? Well, the truth is that is entirely up to you. And that's very much a theme that will trend through all of the ESO topics. ESO is a very open world, sandboxy, do whatever you want whenever you want type of game. If you are used to MMOs that kind of hold your hand through the content, literally forcing you to go from A to B before you're allowed to enter Dungeon C, this will feel very different and maybe even overwhelming at first as you try to decide what to do next. Every time I tell a new player there are a dozen things they can do to continue progressing their character, they can become overwhelmed, but fear not. This is one of the strengths that after this first moment of indecision will become one of the things you love most. It allows you to spend more time doing the things that you enjoy, as opposed to doing the things the game is telling you to do. Is the solo content fun? The solo content is some of the best solo content in any MMO I've ever played, especially at the early levels. You know how most MMOs quests are just a series of fetch quests? Go kill 10 of these and then come back. Go pick up 10 of these and then come back. ESO's quests are not that. You will almost never have a fetch quest, but instead a very story-driven quest much more akin to those you experience in Elder Scrolls game. The quests will often have a full story, a protagonist, an antagonist, some kind of mystery, and it will need your help getting things sorted out. They are entirely voice acted so that you won't need to sit there reading walls of text as you engage with the questing experience. ESO's quests are the best in any MMO I've played to date, so what are their downsides? Well, for a veteran player, the quests can become quite trivial, both in their rewards and their difficulty. Since you can quest in any zone at level 10 or 810, the game tries to scale you accordingly, but the truth is, at 810, these quests can become a little bit easy. The story behind them is still amazing, and I still run through every single one when they're added to the game just to soak up the lore, but I probably wouldn't describe them as a good challenge for my late stage characters. I think Sauce is very aware of this issue, and I hope they have plans to address it, but until they do, players looking for a challenge will have the rest of the game to keep them occupied. Starting off the challenging content in Elder Scrolls Online, we've got solo arenas. In the Maelstrom Arena, you have to fend off waves of enemies and then finally take down a boss at the end. In Vodashon Hollows, you must traverse and explore a large dungeon-esque zone with varying paths and approaches. Both of these can be set to veteran difficulty for a fun and incredibly challenging experience. Not only that, but some fantastic gear can be found within. Group content. One of ESO's strengths is definitely its group content. Forming up a group with friends I've met in game to go take down a dungeon or some kind of raid, it's always a good time. And Elder Scrolls Online has a ton of this type of content. ESO adds 1 new trial, or raid, and 4 new dungeons every year, constantly giving us fresh content to run with friends. Dungeons are completed with groups of 4 and trials with groups of 12. The great thing about dungeons and trials is that they have 3 different difficulty levels. You can run the dungeons and trials in normal difficulty, which is your beginner-friendly, stress-free romp through the content. After that, you can run it on veteran difficulty, which, depending on the content, can sometimes be an incredible challenge. After veteran has been conquered, there is a third difficulty, hard mode, in which the mistakes you make result in the deaths of you and your party. The endgame trials on the hardest difficulty will require you to master your class and your role, and as a result, provide an immense feeling of accomplishment once you've defeated them. There are currently 34 dungeons and 9 trials in ESO, with more being added every year. Each one drops its own different sets of gear and are amazing fun to take down. PvP. ESO has 3 forms of player vs player content. You have the massive open world battles that take place in Cyrodiil, where you can see battles with dozens versus dozens of players on each side trying to take control of a castle keep. Then you have the much more intimate and small scale battles in the battlegrounds, where 3 teams of 4 battle it out to see who can get the most kills or capture the most flags. The third and final form of PvP is Imperial City Sewers, which falls somewhere in between the previous two, with battles ranging from 1v1 to 10v10. PvP in ESO allows for an insanely wide variety of builds and has a very high skill ceiling. It is not uncommon to see one player battling it out against 5 or 10 successfully. Now, if ESO has one flaw, it's the server's ability to handle the load of the large-scale battles in Cyrodiil. For years, the servers have struggled to keep up, and it's not uncommon to see the server struggling during peak hours today. If you want to play ESO solely for the Cyrodiil experience, just be aware of this issue. But to be fair, outside of the peak hours in Cyrodiil, the game runs great. I've had no problems in lower pop Cyrodiil campaigns, nor have I had performance problems in Imperial City Sewers or the Battlegrounds. Combat. Combat is without a doubt one of ESO's strengths. It's fast-paced, fluid, and incredibly strategic. Some of your character's growth comes from levels and gear, but just as much growth comes from your improvement as a player. Every character has tons of different skill lines and passives they can choose to invest in and create a truly unique character to play around as. Now, of course, not every combination is a winner, but there's also fun in trying to find the ones that are. In fact, that's something I spent a ton of time doing. So if you want to skip the trial and error and try builds that have been proven and tested, be sure to check out my build guides in the description below. In Elder Scrolls Online, any class can be a tank, healer, or damage dealer, which means you can easily turn a sorcerer into any one of the 3 roles, or you can create a hybrid of all 3 to create an unstoppable solo machine. However you choose to play Elder Scrolls Online, the combat will be dynamic and fun and is a large part of why I love this game. Cosmetic Customization. One thing that is always important to me in an MMO is character customization. I want my character to look unique, but above all, I want it to look badass. Now, what I love is not necessarily what you love, and this is another area where ESO shines. There are so many ways to customize everything about your character. You can change the color of your armor, you can even change the style of your armor and how it looks, but you can go beyond that and change your character's personality and even your character's skin. The amount of customization is nearly unlimited, allowing you to create a character that you will love. Housing. Elder Scrolls Online housing is among the best of any MMO. You can create literally anything you want. I've seen players create giant houses from a plot of land. I've seen players create mazes and obstacle courses in their houses. You can put crafting stations, other NPCs, and literally anything you can think of in your house. You can put parse dummies in there. The options are almost limitless, and for some players, this is literally all they do every day when they sign into Elder Scrolls Online. Population health. All of this sounds good, but none of it matters if no one plays the game. If you can't find a dungeon group or a trial group, it doesn't matter how good the dungeons and the trials and the combat are. Fortunately, ESO's population is incredibly healthy. The game continues to draw tons of new players every year. You can't go anywhere in this game without running into a ton of other players. Every town and city in Elder Scrolls Online has players running around it. In fact, the game grew more in 2020 than any year since its launch. Okay, the last thing I'm going to touch on is the class setup in Elder Scrolls Online. In Elder Scrolls Online, there are 6 classes. You've got the Dragon Knight, and these skillful master-at-arms use the ancient Akaviri martial arts traditions of battle spirit and wield fearsome magic that pounds, shatters, and physically alters the world around them. Then you have the Sorcerer. Sorcerers can use conjuration and destruction spells to hurling lightning bolts and creating shock fields, wield dark magic to snare and stun, and summon Daedric combat followers from Oblivion to assist them. You've got the Nightblade. Nightblades are adventurers and opportunists with a gift for getting in and out of trouble. Relying on stealth, blades, speed, Nightblades thrive on conflict and misfortune, trusting to their luck and cunning to survive. Then you have the Templar. These traveling knights call upon the powers of light and burning sun to deal massive damage to their enemies while restoring health, magicka, and stamina to their allies. Wardens are defenders of the green, master storytellers whose nature tales become magical reality. They wield frost spells against enemies and summon animals to aid them. Finally, you have the Necromancer. Masters of death, necromancers can call upon corpses to serve as undead thralls and weave ghastly spells to both harm and heal. The important thing to know about classes in Elder Scrolls Online is that you can make a sorcerer, and that sorcerer can be the group's healer, tank, or damage dealer, depending on how you spec the character. You can build a Dragon Knight, and it can be a tank, a damage dealer, or a healer. It's up to you. It just depends on how you build the character or what it ends up being.
Likewise, there are 10 races in Elder Scrolls Online. You've got Breton, Orc, Redguard, all members of the Daggerfall Covenant. Then you have the High Elf, Wood Elf, and the Khajiit, all members of the Aldemari Dominion. Lastly, you've got the Argonian, Dark Elf, and Nords. All of these are members of the Ebonheart Pact. And finally, you have the Imperial race, which is an optional 10th that you can purchase in the Crown Store. Each of the races have passives that allow them to better fill certain roles in the game. I know a telling moment for a lot of players is when they look at the map and see how big or small the world is, so I'll go ahead and take a moment to show you what the map in Elder Scrolls Online looks like. Here's my character here, and I'm in the town of Mournhold, which is in the zone of Deshawn. Okay, here's the town right here, this little area. This is the entire zone. We can zoom out again, and you can see that I'm here in Deshawn. This is this zone right here, and each of these is also another zone that is just as big or bigger than the one I'm in. You've got all of these zones. Every single one of these is another zone, and you can zoom out one more time to see some zones that are outside of the continent of Tamriel. So as you can see, the game is massive, and they're adding about 2 new zones per year. Next, let's quickly touch on skills and passives in Elder Scrolls Online. Every class has access to 3 different skill lines for their class. Each of those skill lines has an ability that can then be morphed once it's leveled up. So every ability you see here can level up and then morph into 2 different abilities. Beyond that, each of these skill lines has a bunch of passives that you can invest in. After that, you've got weapon skill lines, so you can level up 2-handed weapons and then equip certain skills associated with those types of weapons. You could also equip a one-hand and shield and level up those abilities, morph them, and also level up the passives. Same for dual wield, same for bow, and so on. Armor in Elder Scrolls Online even has its own set of passives and abilities that you can unlock. After that, there's a ton of guilds that you can unlock and get various skills and morphs in, and tons more passives. Your race has a bunch of passives, and then beyond that still, there's crafting passives that you can level up as well. So as you can see, there are a ton of options for making your character truly your own, and making it something that nobody else has made, and it's one of the funnest parts about playing Elder Scrolls Online. As for the gear in Elder Scrolls Online, you've got access to 7 pieces of armor on your body, 3 pieces of jewelry, front bar weapons, and back bar weapons. Typically what players do is look for various sets in the game to combine and create awesome builds out of. And as I kind of touched on earlier, your class does not determine what weapon you use. You can be a sorcerer wielding a sword, or you can be a sorcerer wielding a staff. The decision is yours. And no matter what you choose, you'll be able to do all of the content in the game. Alright, let's talk about another topic. How does the future of the game look? Are the devs supporting the game, or are they letting it languish? The answer to this can be seen if we look at everything that was added within the last year alone. We got 4 new dungeons and 1 new raid like always. On top of this, we got 2 new zones. Then they added the Antiquities system, which allows us to dig up impressive furnishings and even mythic gear. Mythic items in ESO are one-piece set items that you can build an entire character around. They severely alter stats like damage, movement speed, and even resource regeneration. But my personal favorite is the Ring of the Pale Order. This ring returns the damage I do to enemies back to me as health. This insane life-stealing passive makes my solo character so fun to play when combined with the right combination of offensive abilities. It has completely changed the way I play my characters and how I survive enemy encounters. They also added a ton of quality of life features into the game that the community has been asking for. Can you imagine that? Devs that listen to their community? ESO has that. It's so rare and magical when it happens, and you can see it happening in the Elder Scrolls Online. Inventory problems were resolved, currency capacity was increased, some of the best add-ons were baked into the game so that we didn't need to download and update them every patch. The devs are absolutely supporting the game with big new content added every single quarter. This year we will be seeing the expansion content give a nod to the Elder Scrolls 4, Oblivion, with the teaser for the year being the Gates of Oblivion. We are expecting new dungeons, new zones, and a new raid like usual. I'm also hoping for a new class. The devs surprise us every year, however, and so the question this year is, how will ZOS surprise us this time? What are they going to add that we've all been asking for? And what are they going to add that we didn't even know we wanted? This is what ZOS does every year, so yeah, the devs absolutely support the game, and they are clearly very passionate about it.
So, in summary, if you love MMOs or if you love Elder Scrolls games, you should absolutely give ESO a try. It pulls you in and provides a world you can get lost in. It's amazing, it's absolutely massive and loads of fun, and I hope to see you in the game someday. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe for more MMO content. I'm Lucky Ghost and I stream 5 days a week. Come hang out with me sometime at twitch.tv/LuckyGhostTV. See you in the next video.